Today, I wanted to make a video about what a personal finance audit is and why it's important for you to incorporate it as part of your financial planning. In this video, I am going to discuss the definition of an audit, the purpose of audits, why it matters for you to do an audit of your own personal finances, and then we're going to talk about the scope of personal finance audits and its related objectives. So essentially, the scope is the things that you include in your audit to make sure that you hit all of your points, and evidently those various sections that you're going to include is going to depend both based on what your objectives are and the nature of the area that you're looking at. Also, at the end, I'm going to provide some additional resources I think might be helpful, and I'm also going to link them in the description box. But first, here's a little bit about me. Hi, welcome to my channel. Thank you for watching. Here's a little bit about me. My household consists of myself, my husband, and my toddler. My mom also lives with us, but she's not included in our finances. We live in a high cost of living city in the Northeast. My husband and I both went to graduate school, but fortunately, we no longer have student loan debt. I work in banking and he works in aviation. I take care of the family's finances, and I love my role as the self-appointed CFO. I love to talk about all things money, whether it's investing, saving, or making money. I look forward to sharing a wealth building journey with you. I look forward to getting to know you, and I hope you enjoy this video. So what is an audit? An audit is defined as an official examination and verification of accounts and records. Typically, the purpose of an audit is to perform an overall assessment of an entity. Well, the purpose of a personal finance audit is not going to be any different. It's going to be to verify and to assess your personal finances. I think the best way for you to approach your personal finances is to treat it like a business. It does not have to take over your life. It can be relatively simple based on the way that you decide to set it up. So you can automate some pieces of it, so you can simplify it. However, you need to take it seriously to make sure that you are not missing anything that's major, and to make sure that the people around you who are in your orbit, in your sphere of influence, are not negatively impacted because they lack information that they need, or because you don't have things set up in place the way you should. So what would you include in the scope of a personal finance audit? The first thing that you should be doing if you are going to do a personal finance audit is to set up a full account inventory. In addition, you also want to review the beneficiaries that are associated with those accounts. In order for you to do that, you are going to want a listing of all of the institutions where you have your money, as well as the account numbers, the type of accounts that they are, meaning checking, savings, brokerage, CD, etc., and then who the account holder is. Are you a joint account holder with a spouse or a sibling or a parent, or are you the only account holder? And as far as the beneficiaries, you can have what they sometimes call a POD account, which is payable upon death. So you can have an account where you're the only person who has the authority and the ability to make transactions because you're the only account holder, but in the event of your death, the account passes to somebody else. The point of including this in your personal finance audit and setting up that review, that will give you the ability to keep all of your accounts in a central location, and it will allow you to have proper oversight over your accounts. For example, if you had an account that was joint with someone that you were holding together because you were either a couple or you were on good terms, if the relationship ends, if you get divorced, if somebody dies, you're going to want to update that information and remove the person who should no longer be on that account. You can't really manage what you don't track. So if you don't have that list, you don't really know what's going on. The next thing on your personal finance audit is going to be your balance sheet. So you're going to want to do a complete balance sheet, and a complete balance sheet is going to include a listing of all your assets and all of your liabilities, and then the accounts that are associated with them, as well as any deeds or titles that may be related to those specific accounts and those specific assets. The objective for that is for you to understand what you have and what you owe, but it is also a very good source of information for your heirs. For example, if you have a car that is paid off and you have the title in your possession, but nobody else knows where it is, or maybe you never even bothered to get the title. If you die, your heirs might have a very difficult time and they might have to take some extra steps in order to sell that car. Also, if you have some other accounts that might either be in a different bank that your relatives don't know about, and you don't have a joint account holder or you don't have a beneficiary, nobody's gonna know to go look for that account and to go look for those assets in the event of your death. There are other ways where people can find out information, or if the account has been dormant for too long, the bank might turn it over to the state. So you really shouldn't make it much more difficult than it needs to be. It's all about the tracking. It is good for you as well, because if you have accounts that maybe you are not really using them very often, it might be very easy for you to forget about them. And if it's a credit account, that might be very bad because your identity could be stolen. You might be in a situation where it's a legitimate charge, but you forgot to pay it off because you don't pay attention to it. So keeping all of that stuff in a central location, having a list of your assets and your liabilities, is really going to be helpful. Next is having your employer contact information. For the scope of that, you're going to want contact information both for your supervisor and for your main contact for human resources. That is a good source of information regarding benefits. I know we never really want anything to happen to us. We never think that anything is going to happen, but the reality is that we have to be prepared in the event that something does happen. And it doesn't have to mean that you die. It could mean something as simple as you are hospitalized or you are incapacitated for whatever reason, and nobody knows who to contact if something were to happen. I personally have experience with that because my father, he did pass away from cancer, but before he died, when he was hospitalized, because I knew exactly who to talk to at his job, I could fill out his disability information for him. I was able to get all of his benefit information. I was able to contact his insurance company. These are all things that I was able to achieve because I knew who his direct supervisor was. I had the main contact information for the person who handled all of that stuff in human resources. And next is for you to review your will and your end of life documentation information. You're going to want to make sure that your executor is somebody that you still want to perform that role, and you want to make sure that the estate attorney contact information is up to date. But not just contact information either. You want to make sure that your wishes are up to date. That's really the primary case for this, because you don't want somebody who you either had a falling out with, or somebody you no longer have a relationship with, or even somebody who is dead to be listed as the person who is making decisions for you, either when it comes to end of life matters, how your money goes, or who your children go to. You are making sure that the information is updated. It is also a source of information for any survivors that you might have or any heirs that you might have. Next is for you to review your insurance needs and to update your insurance inventory. For that, it includes all kinds of insurance: your health insurance, your life insurance, your car insurance, renters and homeowners, and then if you have a pet, your pet insurance. When I talk about reviewing insurance needs, it's really about making sure that you are not either overinsured or underinsured. Yes, there is such a thing as being overinsured, meaning that you are paying for benefits that either do not apply to you or benefits that are excessive for your personal needs. For example, if you are a 21-year-old single person who has no dependents and you don't have any student loans that anybody could sign for, your parents are fully independent, and why would you pay extra money for $1 million life insurance policy? It would make much more sense to have just enough insurance to cover your final expenses and to settle all of your affairs. If your parents are fully independent and you have no children and no spouse and no debt that you're leaving behind, any extra insurance that you have could be an indication that you're overinsured. You might have a best friend that you really care about and you feel like, hey, I might want some extra insurance to leave them money. That's fine, and that is a decision that you are making consciously. And if that's part of your insurance needs, then it's acceptable. However, if you're buying insurance for the sake of buying insurance and you don't really know why you have so much insurance, that might be a little bit too much. That's not the case for most people. If anything, most people are underinsured. And being underinsured means that you do not have enough insurance to cover your needs when you're gone, your family's needs, and the needs of the people that depend on you. As part of that, you want to make sure that your beneficiaries' information are up to date. That way they can be contacted. There are ways for people to find out if they are beneficiaries to life insurance, but again, it is much more difficult when they have to do the homework themselves, when it really just takes a few clicks to make sure that everything is where it should be. And next on the list is what I call a subscription inventory. Review any recurring subscriptions and any related accounts that you may have. The point of that is to detect any unused subscriptions, and it benefits both yourself and the people that might survive you if anything were to happen to you. There are plenty of people who are paying for subscriptions that they are either not using or they are not aware of. If you have any recurring subscriptions that automatically charge your accounts, it's good for you to keep track of them. That way you'll determine, do I use this enough to justify continuing paying for it, or can I cancel it? Not to mention, if you have a big account that you share with somebody that this is being charged to, it might be helpful to make sure that they are aware of this. If they don't use the subscription as much as you do, or if they don't use it at all, they might very well forget, and it might be something that they continue being charged for long after you're gone. As promised, this is some additional information that I thought that might be helpful to you guys. And one of them is to make sure that you are aware of your state's unclaimed property agency. I don't have a link for this one because each state is going to have its own website, but the best way for you to do this is to type in Google your state's name and an unclaimed property. You're going to find your government's website that tells you how you can find property that might be unclaimed that you might be entitled to. And the next resource that I want to talk about is Life Insurance Policy Locator. The Life Insurance Policy Locator is essentially a website that is a collaboration between all of the major insurance companies, and the goal of that website is to provide people with information on life insurance proceeds that they may be entitled to. Essentially, if somebody had a life insurance that was current and they passed away, but there was no beneficiary information that was included, eventually it's going to be added to that directory and people can go in and search by name. So I'm going to go ahead and include this link in the description box of the video. Hopefully your heirs won't need it because you'll have everything sorted out the way you should, but you never know. So in the event that this might come in handy to either you or somebody else you know, I'll be including the link down below. As usual, I always want to know about your personal experiences. So tell me, have you ever heard of a personal finance audit? If you have, how are my recommendations different or similar to what you've heard in the past? Have you ever done one? And if not, would you consider doing one after watching this video? Let me know in the comment section below. I would like to continue sharing my thoughts on all things money with you. So I would appreciate it if you could help out the channel by liking this video and sharing it with anyone you think might benefit from it. If you want to see more content, be sure to subscribe and hit that notification bell so you can know when new videos come out. I'll see you in the next one.